Propelling the Tigers to number one, they'll get Oklahoma in the Peach Bowl, which will be the first meeting since the 2004 Sugar Bowl between the two. And this one's going to be unbelievable. Clemson, Ohio State facing off in the Fiesta Bowl. Clemson has won all three previous meetings against the Buckeyes. Here's how the coaches reacted, starting with Ed O.
We're happy to be in the playoffs, and anywhere, anytime, anybody, we're ready to go.
The committee has their reasons. You know, we were the 1 seed coming in, and somehow we ended up the 2 seed. Whatever that is, it is. But at the end of the day, we're gonna have to go play everybody. Play the best. So that's behind us now, and now we look forward to going to Arizona.
This is the first time since 1966 that a team started the season number one, went undefeated through the regular season, and finished third. Okay, so that's history. First time that's happened.
Looking at the season, like you said, going undefeated and still being number 3 at the end of the year, definitely is a chip on our shoulder, and we're just excited to have the opportunity to prove ourselves.
We'll talk more about Trevor Lawrence in just a bit, but Trevor's done it, but our national championship winning quarterback, Greg McElroy, joins us here tonight on SportsCenter, formerly, of course, of the Tide. And I want to talk about another former Tide quarterback in Jalen Hurts. Great story to get to the playoff, of course, to round out his career. But he's been turnover prone this year, especially in the 2 games against Baylor. He had 5 alone, 13 for the season. What is that going to mean, and how will that manifest itself when he plays the biggest game of his career against LSU?
It absolutely can't happen. This LSU offense is far too explosive to give them the short field, to give them extra opportunities. So Jalen Hurts has to play the best game of his career. Not just the best game in an Oklahoma uniform, the best game of his career in regards to decision-making and accuracy. So far this year, he's had some great moments. And with the game on the line, there's very few guys in college football that you'd rather have under center. But there have been some other times where he's tried to do too much. Sometimes I think he looks at the personnel and he says, I got to make a big play every single time I have the football. He doesn't have to do that. He needs to take what the defense gives him, because if he tries to do too much against LSU and those talented defensive backs get their hands on the football, it could be a long day for the Sooners.
And think about what Greg just said. Jalen Hurts is 26-2 as a starter at Alabama, and this is the biggest game he's playing in. That's some incredible stakes. On the other side, I know they play in the ACC, but I can't have this be an excuse, Greg. Help me understand. Clemson has won 28 games in a row. Right. Their starting quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, is 24-0. He's never lost a game that he started in college. With those numbers, if that was any other team, it would be dynastic and we'd be talking about it. We couldn't stop talking about it. Why are we not talking about it enough with Clemson?
I think everybody recognizes the quality that Clemson has on their roster. They have unbelievable personnel, one of the best quarterbacks in college football historically from a talent standpoint with Trevor Lawrence. But the problem right now is that Trevor Lawrence has been exceptional in the last half of the season. The problem is nobody's been watching.
It's true.
And it's not anything that Clemson can do. It's not anything that Dabo Swinney can do to affect the opinion of the committee or anyone that's evaluated this team, because everyone recognizes Clemson, says, man, those teams they're awesome. They got great personnel, great talent, and I think they got a real shot of winning this whole dang thing. But they haven't had the marquee opponent to test themselves against, especially in the second half. We only see them play in a ranked versus ranked matchup only one time where it really felt like it was a fair fight, and that was against Texas A&M, and that was week 2. So it's been a really long time since we've seen them play against a capable opponent, and they're obviously going to have a very capable opponent in Ohio State there in Phoenix.
No question about it. A&M did play some tough competition, but they ended up being a 7-5 team, so even if you want to look at it from a litmus test perspective, it's hard to do so. One other note, a lot of people thought Clemson's modern-day coming-out party in the Dabo era was the win over Ohio State in the playoff in 2016 when they handed Urban Meyer's first shutout loss ever. We'll see what happens when they meet again on December 28th. Thank you, Greg.
Thanks, Uber.
All right, the other New Year's Six Bowls include a pair of top 10 matchups. Oregon and Wisconsin will meet up in the Rose Bowl game presented by Northwestern Mutual. You got Georgia and Baylor matching up in the All-State Sugar Bowl. Memphis earning a Group of 5 win after last night's thriller against Cincinnati. They will head to Jerry World for the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. And then you got the Capital One Orange Bowl. Number 9, Florida, taking on number 24, Virginia. Let's go. I had to Google it today to make sure that they beat the Patriots last week. I could not believe, maybe it was just a foggy memory, but Broncos going to win this one 38-24. Lock 22-27. 309 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. First career road win for him. So it's a small sample size, Tim, for Drew Lock. But what are you seeing so far that gives him success like this?
Well, here's what I would say is he had a lot of good tape in college. That's why a lot of people thought highly of him, thought he could have been a first rounder. Played terrible in the preseason, okay? And now he's getting an opportunity to play. And between last week and this week, he's done all right. Now, I think that the Denver Broncos have done a good job of helping him. You look at this situation here. You're backed up. You have 3 tight ends in the game, okay? They just moved Noah Fant off of, from this side of the formation to over here. So this is a run, situation if you're the defense. Now, what they're going to do is they're going to run, a play action. They're faking to Lindsey. And basically the way that Fant ends up leaking out is it ends up being a really good design. Everyone's thinking run. You look at the confusion that it creates. So many times when you see a quarterback come in action, it's a boot play. Well, instead, what this is Fant, who's going to get out of the screen, he's going to end up running to the corner. Look at the confusion that it causes for McKinley there. I mean, he turns and starts running the other way, creates a big void in the defense. You get the pickup to Fant, and then there's good run after the catch. That's one example of kind of finding an easy way to get your quarterback in completion. This is another one. Similar situation here. You get into kind of a unique formation, tight ends in here, and they're going to make it look like they're throwing this, wide screen to the back. Just even look at the action. I mean, you look at the way that Locke is lined up. I mean, he's almost like he's going to throw a lateral, to the back here. Well, look at the influence that it ends up having, on the defense. It's McKinley again. He's basically going to just start, flying for the back. But what they end up doing is it's almost like a screen. Fant's going to block it first, and then he's going to release. It's like a wide check middle, tight end check middle. And it's a way to get an easy completion, a throw that quite honestly is behind the line of scrimmage and ends up being a big pickup. So they just did a nice job of finding ways to design easy completions for young quarterback against what has been a pretty good defense.
Offensive coordinator Rick Scangarello has done a really nice job, and Noah Fant, after a rough start to the season, has really sort of picked it up. So just QB to QB here, what do you want to see here from Locke the rest of the way?
I think you want to, continue to do what he did today. He was fantastic. He looks like the guy that I think you saw play, in college, where, he had something like 47 career, starts in college. He had
started, right?
Yeah, and in the SEC. I mean, had played good competition, had good moments against Georgia and then other good teams. And so I think that what you want to see is you want to continue to see this. Was it perfect? No, he's got a bad interception in this football game, but for the most part, he made good decisions, was quick and decisive with the football. And I think if you continue to do that, then I think you'll feel like you have something to build around.
Okay, so the Broncos suffered a devastating loss earlier this season, you may recall, to the Colts. The Broncos have had a few devastating losses at the gun. Today, a little turnabout, perhaps, for the Colts to be on the other end of it, taking on the Bucs. We're going to get right to it because not a ton of implications here. Obviously, there are for the Colts, but for the Bucs, Winston, Evans would be injured on the play, leave the game with a hamstring injury. Just to remind you, they got to figure out what to do with Winston here.
They do, because the good is really good, then the bad is really bad. But right there, obviously the good, and he continued to have moments in this football game.
Yeah, Winston, Harriman, career high 456 yards. Typical Jameis game, 4 touchdowns, 3 picks with 4.
That's exactly right, Zubin. That's exactly what I mean. It's just a roller coaster.
They got to figure out what to do. 38-35. Meanwhile, Frank Reich, it's admirable. I know Jacoby Brissett has really played poorly here the last couple of weeks, but to even be at 6-7 with where they are and everything they've gone through does say something. The next time we'll get an opportunity to see Indy, it'll be on ESPN's Monday Night Football at the Saints. Tim will be back to join us in just a little bit. We'll be with you tonight till 8:30 Eastern. Nabil.
Let's make a little switch to hoops. The top 10 ACC matchup this evening. You got number 7 UNC looking to avoid back-to-back losses at 5th-ranked Virginia. We got those highlights next.